Hello everybody. Well, we're going to do a quick video on the Pokies species that I have. Similar to the Brachypelma video, there are a couple that probably can be fed. There are a couple that can't, particularly that guy right there. Look how huge he got. This is the Pokies vittata, the Ghost Ornamental. He molted 2 days ago, not mature yet, but he is rather long. I'm going to say he's easy 5-inch, probably 6. I'll get the measuring tape out. He is definitely, here is the female Pokies regalis. Leg span, he's got her beat. And yeah, it's close. It really is close. You can see them side by side there. It is pretty stinking close between the two of them. We had suspected male on this one, and the guy that I got it from last year, I got it. When I sent him a ventral picture, it wasn't even a week ago, he said he felt male. So it molted. So on this shelf, in the back is the Miranda and the Sofusca. I did move the Sofusca out of that type of container into one of these. She's still tiny, actually. She's bigger than the Metallica, but she's still only about 4, maybe 4.5. Now they don't get as big, so she's probably a molt away from breedability. She should mature the next molt. Definitely a female. The Miranda we're still up in the air on. I was told, based on what some people look at coloring wise on that one, they think it's a female, but on the molt I didn't really see much of anything. So you have, the Miranda and the Sofusca in the back, the Rufilata, Metallica, Vittata, the Regalis, and up here is the Tigrina Wasseli, which is in pre-molt. So I'll bring them down, and we'll kind of try to get some close-ups of them, and we're going to try and feed a couple of them. Probably the Miranda and the Metallica. Definitely not the Vittata or the Regalis or the Sofusca. The Rufilata looks to be in the beginnings of pre-molt, as is the Tigrina Wasseli. So probably only try feeding 2, and we'll see what happens. Look how pretty she is. I know it sucks looking at her through the plastic, but she's remarkable. So let's get them down, and we'll go over them one by one. Okay, so the first 2 I have in front of me, you can see, need to clean. I try to get into these enclosures once a month, with what I use is a paint sponge with the long sticks on them, and then I'll put a second stick on, taped up real well so that it has stability, and then I use that to kind of just try to get the spots that they don't web up. And I mean, sometimes it's really hard to clean them, and you actually really have to get them out to do it properly, but I don't go crazy with the cleaning. Like this can be spot cleaned pretty easily, but you have to worry about the pokies because they, you got to get them settled. Once you get them settled, then they're usually okay to work around. I haven't had any issues with any of mine except for one, the male Rufilata that I had during a tong feeding. When I put the prey in front of it, it went to grab the prey and it missed it, and it just kind of went right up the tongs, right up my arm, right over my shoulder, and right back down my other arm. It happened so fast you really don't have time to really panic too much, and I was surprised that I didn't, because I'm not afraid of spiders, but the speed and the unpredictability sometimes catches me off guard. So yeah, they do still tend to have that freak out respect from me. So but I got him back in pretty easily. I just kind of, his butt was towards the top of my elbow, he was facing down to my hand, so I kind of just moved my hand to the enclosure and kind of nudged him, and he just walked down my hand right back into the enclosure again, and then I sweated bullets. But anyway, this is Saku, and what I did yesterday is I made new enclosure tags. You can see them so that I can actually put them on there so that I know who's who when I'm just looking at them. I generally, I can tell by the way I set them up and what they're in. The way the cork bark is or whatever, I'll know exactly who it is by just looking at the enclosure. But again, I highly recommend to any of you that have a collection to label your tarantulas the best that you possibly can. Not just for the sake of you don't want to mix them up, but if anything ever happened to you and your family members had to get rid of them or take them over, then they know exactly kind of what they're dealing with, because they can look up the name on the tag and then get information. Because my kids really don't mess with the spiders. They're not all that interested in them, so if something happened to me, I'm sure that they would all go somewhere. I have some people that are friends of mine that I would probably have them get a hold of to try and get them to them before they took them to the pet stores. But anyway, this is Saku's a female Poecilotheria metallica. She's down on the bottom. She is very, now she's back in the back. She hates light. She's very flighty. You'll see she will just go away from every way I turn her. With the light, she'll move. So see, now she'll move back, and she'll move forward, and she'll move back. Now you can see the ventral. You can see how easy it is to tell that she's female. At least, again, I am no expert on ventrally sexing tarantulas, by no means. I'm getting somewhat better at it, but I was told by 3 different very, very well-known people that ventrally she's definitely looking female. So we'll see. She has torn every molt that she's ever had, so I have yet to get a molt that's sexable. But 3 people I really, really trust their opinion, have been in the hobby for a long time and have dealt with pokies for quite a while, have all said that she looks female to them. So I'm going by that. But usually if it's a male, there's supposed to be like a button. So you'll see like a second, down where that slit is, you would see like a round part on the bottom and then a round part on the top. They call that the button. So that's why, we're pretty confident with female on this one. She's so-so as an eater. She generally doesn't eat more than, either a large cricket, maybe twice a month, probably more like every 3 weeks is more of a good feeding schedule for her. I don't overfeed her because the roaches will just sit in there, and then they'll be in there, and then she won't eat them, and she gets used to them. I had to fish a couple out during her last molt cycle that she just didn't eat. But okay, anyway, we're gonna try and feed her, because it's been almost 3 weeks, I think, since we fed her. And then here is, it's hard to really get a good view of these guys, or really, unless you're close up. I've had people complain about me keeping them in these containers. They need something bigger, but I really think that they're perfectly fine. Would they be better off with something bigger? Probably. It's not going to hurt them, but they're doing perfectly fine in here. They're eating well, they're molting well. I haven't had issues really with any pokey. The only problem I ever had with a pokey was the first Vittata I ever got ended up with DKS syndrome. It was the first tarantula I ever had with DKS, and that was just miserable to watch, that poor guy, because he would climb up. He was a male, confirmed male. Probably he topped out at 4 inches when he actually got to DKS. Anyway, he would climb up and then fall right down, and and then the normal symptoms, the legs flailing everywhere. It wasn't a lot of fun to watch. But he is straight across that enclosure, and he's not even fully stretched out. So these things are roughly, I'm going to say 4 inches wide. So I'm going to say he's probably a good 5 inches long. Maybe a tad bit longer when he's completely stretched out. You're like in the pokey stretch. But again, molted just a couple days ago. You see the beautiful white coloring bands on the ventral side. That's one of the ways to tell Vittata. And there's another little, like a triangle that you look for coloring wise on the ventral side of the legs that'll help you distinguish between, I think, Vittata, I can't remember the other one, Fasciata maybe, or Formosa. One of the two of those, I believe, are relatively close to looking the same. Again, I'm not a pokey expert, and I only know the ones that I have. So, okay, so that's those two, and I'm going to, while I have them here, I'm going to go ahead and put their labels on and then get the next ones down. Okay, here's one of my favorite species of the genus. This is the Poecilotheria miranda. This is the one that people have been telling me looks female to them dorsally. Again, we're looking at a 3.5 to 4 inch, maybe 4.5 inch spider here. This is the one I got back in October, right around the 2-inch mark. Again, it's those deep earth browns, tans, not quite blacks, but you know, real dark blacks, maybe a little bit of grays in there. But I really enjoy visually. So this is the Poecilotheria miranda. It's unsexed but suspected female. But again, this is one that I suspected male with the molt, because I didn't have a complete molt. And it was torn, but I didn't really see much of anything. It doesn't mean that the spot that it was torn didn't contain what we were looking for. At this next molt should tell pretty decisively. See, at this size, the coloring is still there. We're not grayed out or washed out normally like males do. If you see, the Vittata is really, you know, he's grayish on top, you know, dorsally. He doesn't have that really pretty, you know, darks and whites and grays that a female does. So I would say that he's probably penultimate. So one more molt, he would probably mature. So we're going to try and find him a home. I don't know, you know, if Tom Moran, it's his favorite old world species, and I know he has some. I don't know if he has a female or what. If he's interested in a breeding loan, I possibly might ship him off to him, you know, in the fall when it cools down, see what he may be able to do with them, and then maybe we can just split a sack or something, and I'll get a hold of Tom and see if he might be interested in anything like that. But okay, so that's the Poecilotheria miranda, which is the Bengal or the Bengal ornamental, and the other one, see, we had the Ghost Ornamental, and then of course the Metallica is the Goody Sapphire Ornamental. Okay, again, you're going to see mostly ventral shots. They're not being very cooperative, and I'm not really going to poke them around. But this is the Poecilotheria rufulata, roughly 2.5 inches. This one actually ventrally looks probably male, but we'll see with the molt. The book lungs are pretty close together and not really angled out any different than the bottom book lungs are. So I'm gonna say that this one's possibly a male, which is okay. I mean, you know, I'd like to have all females of the pokies just because of their beautiful coloring, but this, as a female, this one would get huge. When I shipped off my male, he was 7 inches, 6.5, 6 3/4. I think is actually probably closer than 7. But these things get beautiful greens and yellows, and you know, just a gorgeous looking tarantula. So I was happy to get this one back, and hopefully we'll raise it. Maybe it'll be a female. It doesn't really look like it to me, but again, I'm no expert by no means. So that's the rufulata, which is the red slate ornamental, and we'll move on to the last two or last three. Okay, here is probably the most popular, arguably the most popular Poecilotheria species out there, which is the Poecilotheria regalis. I think, again, I'm not quoting anybody, and this is, again, just kind of maybe a hearsay based on what I have just seen or read or heard, but it seems like these ones are easier to breed than the other ones are. So when something's easier to breed, more people do it. There's more of them out there, so more people have them. Very, very pretty spider. This is a female, not molt confirmed, but That's another one that was ventrally guessed, I guess you could say. The educated ventral guess. Has not particularly been a great eater. It, you could see there was probably an inch of substrate in here, which again, with arboreals, I don't tend to give them much. And she has brought it all up into the back of her cork bark here, all through the top there. There's still quite a bit, and there's her Stormtrooper. Stormtrooper was in her 32-ounce deli cup when I first got her. That was one decoration with a piece of cork bark is what she crawled on. I had some pictures of her. I think I still do when she's a sling crawling on the Stormtrooper. So I kept it with her, and it'll always be with her as long as I have her. But you can see the white on the leg 3 and leg 4 of both the left and right side. The banding, which is synonymous with the Gallus, but I think there is, I'm not quite sure. I don't think any other pokey has that distinguishable band. There may be another pokey that has a little bit of banding. Again, I don't have fasciata, formosa, the ornata, the Namika, the long name one, the Rameshwam's ornamental. So there's still probably 4 or 5 that I don't own. I'd like to get an ornata. If I was to get another pokey, that would be the one I would get, would be an ornata. Other than that, I'm not really interested in the other ones. I do have a Smithy coming. Hopefully, Vlad still has them. Hopefully, it'll come, I'm hoping, next week. He's supposed to be pulling the Balfours. He's going to send me 3 Balfours. 3 Balfours, 2 Lagardi, 1 E. Marinus, 5 Vagans, 5 Cancerides, and then my Diversipes, my Poecilotheria Smithy, and another Chilobrachys fimbriatus that I had got from Cody that left him there with Vlad when he visited, and then saved me on shipping because Vlad was bringing shipping stuff to me anyway, so I don't have to worry about that. So yeah, that's what I have coming from him. Hopefully next week, because I'm afraid the weather's going to start warming back up again. But okay, so that's the Poecilotheria Gallus, which is the Indian ornamental. I named this one Apache. I think I've said this before, again in videos. Maybe if you haven't watched them, it's probably a long time ago. As a kid, my godmother was really into Indian decor. She used to do a lot of ceramics with Indian stuff, and when I started dating my wife did a lot of ceramics, so I started doing some with her, painting different Indian things, and Indian things always interested me. So I just kind of, with the Indian ornamental, I mean, I know it's from India, not actually Indian, but I thought the name was pretty cool. I have her, and then I have Sue, which is the Aphonopelma simoni, which is spelled Sue like the Indian, S-I-O-U-X. So yeah, those are the 2 that I kind of formed around the Indians, and I also have Dakota, which is the Euapolastris campistratus, which is also the Dakota Indians. That's what I named that one after, not the state, but the actual Indians. So, okay, so that's the Regalis. We're gonna try. I'll try and feed her. We'll try and feed her like a red runner. We'll try to get it. We'll put it down in here and then let it go down and see if she'll take it. Well, I'm not sure. We'll see. Okay, so let's move on to the Subfusca. She is, got dog hair inside there, damn it. She's my pride and joy. One of my top favorite tarantulas in my collection. I had a Subfusca, which was, okay, the story goes like this. When I first started buying some spiders a couple years ago, again, I had a rose hair for 11 years. It died. I found the one at work, kind of got me back into it. I bought the Carabina versicolor, the Haplopa species Columbia large, and Avicularia, and then a second Avicularia. In between those 2 Avics, I got a Ghost Ornamental, or the Vittata. At that time, it wasn't a Vittata, it was the other name. I can't remember what the other name was. Pederseni, the Poecilotheria Pederseni. So, I realized pretty quick that I wasn't really ready for it, the pokey. So I took it back to the pet store where I got it from, and I traded it in for what was supposed to be an Afaunopelma chalcodes, which ended up molting into an Afaunopelma gabelli. Well, not molting into, but actually molting, and then we ID'd it as a gabelli. But and then I ended up going back and getting the Vittata again anyway. But before I got to Vittata, I went there and he had a Subfusca. So I picked that one up because I looked at the pictures online. I was like, okay, I'm going to have to learn how to work with this animal because I really, really thought that the coloring was so pretty. And that, again, that is a synonymous thing with new tarantula keepers. And again, I wasn't really new, but I only had one for 11 years. So I would say you could still say I was kind of new. Is that you look at the color and you look at how pretty things are and you're like, well, I have to have that one. I got it for a pretty good price. So I picked it up. It ended up being a male. Matured relatively quickly, I think 18 months. So I sold it to Anna Bino, I think, in Texas, and she bred him with hers. I never asked her if it was successful. I didn't want to know if, he got eaten because he was a favorite of mine. So this one here came up at the same pet store. It was labeled as a male. It was about 2 inches, maybe a little over 2 inches, not much over if it was. But I said, oh, what the heck? I had him for 18 months. If I have this one for 18 months and I can find him someplace to go and breed, I would want to do a breeding loan with that one. Well, when it molted 2 molts ago, it had spermathecae. So I was just elated that I had a female. Trouble is that since she molted this last time, she has not really been herself. Now it's been over a month that she's molted and she's only eaten one small cricket. So I wanted to move her out of that big enclosure into something a little bit more secure, something that I could see her more and be able to photograph her more. It was more of a little bit of a selfish kind of that selfish keeper syndrome where I wanted to see her more. And with that opaque type of enclosure, and then every time I looked at her, she just looked so tiny in there. So I put her in here yesterday. I had no troubles getting her out. She went right into the deli cup and right out of deli cup into here. Trouble is that when I stood up, everything was closed. When I stood up, I bumped it with my hip and the enclosure fell on the floor. So she got rattled all around. She got dirt all over her. I spent the next hour trying to get dirt off her with a paintbrush, believe it or not, and she really didn't move much. Not that she's hurt, because she's not hurt, because this was in the front of the enclosure. She's moved around quite a bit, but I'm hoping that she's okay. Again, prior to her falling, she wasn't acting herself either. Again, one cricket since she molted is not synonymous for her. She was a weekly feeder of a small prey item. So, a medium-sized to large cricket, I could feed her once a week or once every other week, and she would eat perfectly fine. Now she's on a once a month, if I'm lucky, feeding schedule, and that kind of bothers me, the pokey, because she's really, really skinny. Her abdomen here is not very big. I can kind of manipulate her a little bit, see if she'll open up. And this is why I put these, I don't know if I can actually, I might be able to this way. This is why I put these holes the way I do in these, so that I can get this stupid hair out of here too. Get rid of that. Maybe not. Okay. Let's see if we can just get her to kind of open up a little. There she goes. See, she moves fine. She's in perfectly good health. Just likes to curl up. This is the way she was sitting in her other enclosure, really big. She curled up like a frog. And we're going to try, I might try and feed her a small roach and see if she'll actually take it. She didn't try to feed yesterday before I took her out of her enclosure, the old one. Put her into this one. I wanted to see if I can get her to feed first, but she didn't. So we'll see what we can do with her. I'll make that decision here before the video is over on whether or not I want to try and mess with her or not, or just leave her be. But I'm looking forward to her getting used to this and getting back to her normal self, stretching out, and get some good pictures of her. Again, she moves fine. She's got a skinny little butt. And that kind of worries you as a keeper, when their abdomen stays small. Now, with Subfusca, especially the Highland. Now, the Highland, they're in a high elevation. They're in mountain area, so their temperature demands are a bit different than most others. Now, Rufilata are kind of the same, similar. I don't know that their elevation is anywhere near the height of what these ones are, but they can tolerate cooler temperatures. So, with her being in the mountains, she's much better in the winter. She's very, very lively in the cooler weather. Now that it's gotten summer and it's really, really warm, she's less active. So I'm kind of attributing her sluggishness and not willing to eat with the higher temperatures. And, she's probably more of a 65 to 72 degree type of tarantula, instead of like the 72 to 78 or 80 degree, like for the Regalis or the Miranda. Some of them that are used to warmer temperatures. Again, I don't ever, whatever the temperature is in this room is what they get. If it gets too cold at night in the winter, I do have a space heater that I put on, which just blows hot air over into that corner and then rises in that area. So it just kind of keeps that corner of the room warm for them, so they're not freezing. So I don't go crazy with temperatures, but where they're from and the recommended temperatures of them, she's one of the ones that seems to thrive a little bit more with a little damper situation and a little cooler. So I'm hoping, fall, late fall, early winter, she starts to pick back up again and is a lot more active. But we'll try and give her a feed and bring down the Tigrin Wasseli, and that'll be the last one that we do an intro. Her name is Samira. I think I'd give the Rufilata's name is Mystique, and the Miranda's name is Tannin. I think I gave you everybody else's names. Again, I named most of the tarantulas, but there's still quite a few that I don't have names for. So we'll bring down the Tigrin Wasseli, which is one I don't have a name for. So let me get that one down, and we'll be right back. Okay, here is the Poecilotheria Tigrin Wasseli. Now, this is one that I had wanted actually originally because I like the name, Tigrin Wasseli. It's just cool to say. And I like tigers. Who doesn't like tigers? And Tigrin Wasseli is as close to the word tiger as you can get in a pokey, right? Other than your common names. But anyway, you could tell, I don't know how well you guys can see, but this one isn't primo. And how I tell with the pokies is that their abdomen gets kind of stretched, elongated, and very, very shiny. They don't generally darken, because the coloring below them isn't all that particularly dark. But their abdomen on the ventral side is usually where I can tell, because they do look stretched and shiny. And this one definitely looks stretched and shiny. Okay, you'll get a reflection off of it. But this one ate about 2 weeks ago. So we're going to, and it molted once for me. Actually, it molted, there was a molt in it when I got it. So it hasn't molted since I brought it home from Buffalo at the Reptile Expo there, which was in May. So through May, June, July, we're going on 3 months without a molt. So kind of crossing my fingers that we have a female with this one. I wanted a female with this one, the Miranda, of course the Subfusca. I want females with all of them because they're around longer, but there's certain ones that I just like the coloring so much as females that I just want to have females of them. The Vitato was one, and unfortunately I don't. He turned out to be a male, but so right now I think he's the only one that's positive male. The rest of them, other than the Rufilata is a suspected male. I just venturally, but yeah, that's my, what did I have, 6, 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 right now, and the Poecilotheria Smithy, the yellowback ornamental, is coming. I can't remember the common name of this one, what ornamental this one is. Is it the tiger ornamental? I don't think it's a tiger ornamental. It might be. It might be. Again, I'm not huge into the common names, so I don't remember a lot of them, and I swore that I would put the common names on the enclosures too, and I still may do that. But I want to get all my spiders labeled here over the course of the next 4 or 5 days to make sure that everybody has got a label on them and the scorpions. I don't really need to label like the geckos and stuff like that. I probably could, you know, with their scientific names, just so that it's their scientific name, but definitely want to do it with the spiders again, just in case something does happen and they need to deal with it. At least they know what they're dealing with. And I'm slowly making a information sheet for all of my spiders, you know, like their common name, their of course their scientific name, their common name, where they're from, the temperatures that are recommended, the humidity that's recommended, which again, I don't really care about humidity at all. I'm just writing it down just for informational, so that when I start doing some videos information-wise on these for you guys, that I have that information for you if you want to use it. I don't worry about humidity at all. I don't even have a humidity gauge in here anymore. I had it for a while because it came with an enclosure I got, and I just use it for just relative humidity in the room. So I don't really worry about it. The ones that need to be sprayed more, I try to spray more. The ones that need to stay dry, I keep trying, whatever humidity they deal with. Now in the summertime here and where I'm from, it's pretty ragged. We have days where we have 80% humidity, sometimes even more. Because of the lake and the moisture coming off it with the heat, it gets very stifling sometimes. So I don't really ever worry about humidity. And in the wintertime, we're roughly at around 20%, maybe 30%, give or take. If it gets to be really dry, like last winter, for about a week, I put a 5-gallon bucket of water in my room and just let that evaporate to add a little bit of moisture in the air. And that wasn't just really for them as much as it was for me with the asthma. It just helped me a little bit breathe better. But yeah, so those are the 7 pokies that I have. We're going to try and feed a couple of them, and we'll see if we can get them to eat, see if we can get a takedown or two. I'm not guaranteeing anything because they aren't easy to film. You know, they're kind of in the same, most of them are all in the same containers that John 3800 uses, except for mine are the snap tights. Those are just a screw-ons, same real basic. It's the same exact enclosure, just a different kind of top. That's all it really is. Yes, I would love to have, you know, 8 or 10 5.5 gallon or 10 gallon aquariums on their side with beautiful setups for these, but again, with where I live, it's impossible to do now. Maybe when we move, you know, when the kids are, like I said before, when the kids move out, we decide that we want to move into a home, maybe I'll do that for some, you know, because by then I'll probably have to really reduce the amount of tarantulas I have, because I have too many, way too many. But yeah, so let's try and feed a couple of them and see what happens. Okay, so I'm gonna do the best I can with getting you footage. This is Saku, the Poecilotheria metallica. We're gonna throw an adult red runner in with her and see what we get. I did put the sticker on her. And I remember with the old Vitata, I didn't put the stickers on the other ones yet, so we'll do that as we feed. I suspect she should eat, but it's a matter of whether we catch the actual takedown. We got to get the roach to do what we want it to do. Preferably in the back would be a better viewing for us, but that's going to be entirely up to the roach, I guess. This one is probably the most skittish. If not this one, the Miranda is definitely another one that's really, you know, flighty. You may have to help this roach out a little bit because it's going to go underneath the leaf and just stay there. I worry about this one with the enclosure lid off because, again, she does get kind of spooked pretty easy. As you can see, she's moved to the back of the enclosure now. She's going to hide behind the log. I think once she gets sight or the feel of this roach, hopefully we'll get her to feed. I may be doing some angle adjustments. You guys may hear that scratching. Okay, so there she is. And oh, there's the roach. I didn't even hear her. Usually you'll hear the shuffle, you know. So sorry guys that we missed that. The roach, what the roach did was it climbed up from the front up above this and must have came right over and just went right to her. So yeah, that's so we got one fed again. We'll watch her a little bit, watch her move. So that's good. She's been eating a little bit better again, but it's roughly about every 3 weeks with her that I even try to feed her. She is just so pretty. The blues on her are just really vivid. I mean, I've seen some pictures and I've seen 2 other ones up close, and the ones I've seen up close have never been this vivid blue. Again, pictures on the internet I don't really rely on because people can doctor them so easily and you know, change the contrast and make something look a lot bluer than what it is. But I don't even know how to do that. You know, how to filter or how to make something, how to change the coloring. But her yellows underneath are just, they just pop. Okay, so I'm going to get the Poecilotheria Miranda down next. We're going to try and feed her, and then we'll try the Regalis, and then possibly the Subfusca. Okay. Poecilotheria Miranda. She's going to be, or suspected she, pretty much still in the same place she was earlier. I hate when she's facing up. I like it better when she's facing down. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, you do your walk around. Okay, we'll leave her right here, and she's going to get a female red runner. That was quick. I'm surprised she actually got it on the first try because she's a lousy hunter. She usually misses 3 or 4 times before she actually gets a hold of it. She's a very striking T. Beautiful carapace pattern, just gorgeous. You know, her coloring is, I just adore it. You know, I mean, look at the you know, the creams and the tans. She's actually a little bit darker in person. She's showing up a little lighter here. The tans are more tan, you know, than they are actually cream. Yeah, so this is tannin, and tannin is a mythical, I think, demon, if I remember correctly. I don't even know why I was looking up, you know, demon names. It was probably for like the Ceratojaurus or the King Krakens or something. I came across the name tannin, and I thought that would be perfectly fitting for, not because it's a demon name, but because of the coloring, you know, for this one here. And I actually do like the name. It's one of the favorite names I've actually come up with. So that's her. Man, she's just something. I could stare at her all day. I don't like her setup, so she's going to, I'm going to get her something different in here and get, or at least glue those together. And then put maybe a small piece down low so it's more like a total tree trunk that she can get into. So I'll have to get her out of here into a catch cup and then cover it up and then fix that, because those things kind of move I never stabilize them, so when I move the enclosure, those things kind of wiggle back and forth, and I don't like that. So we're going to get that taken care of. Alright, so let's try and feed the Poecilotheria regalis. We're not going to have as good as a view of her as this, but maybe we'll actually have a better view of her hitting whatever we throw in there if she's interested in eating. Okay, here is the regalis. This is Apache. She's going to get a female red runner. She's not a big fan of the dubias. You know, I tried feeding her some big ones. She never ate them, so they kind of crawl around there forever. I took them out, fed them to the OBT, who loves them big things. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and try feeding her a female. I'm just going to try and drop it right behind her, and hopefully she doesn't freak out. She's like showing absolutely zero. Maybe she's showing a little interest, but now the roach kind of went away. I tongue fed her once, which was actually a Mario worm, which she took very gently, let go of the tongs pretty easily. But just staring at her, just kind of, you know, with the tongs, just kind of freaked me out. I do have the long 18-inch or 20-inch, 24-inch, whatever they are, tongs. The problem with those is that you still have to kind of get, even though they're that long, to get the pressure to hold small things like Mario worms or roaches, you still have to kind of be at that 18-inch mark to squeeze to get that pressure. So, yeah, I'm not a big fan of doing the whole tong feeding of the pokies. I've done it for a few of them. This one, the Sapusca, tong fed. The male Rufilata that I had, I tong fed. I think that's it. The Metallica I wouldn't, because she's too fast, too flighty. Same with the Miranda. They're just a little too squirrely for me to feed with tongs. I'm not sure where that female roach went. I'm sure that it'll come about and she'll get it. Oh, there it is right there. Okay, it's right there in the corner. So I can actually manipulate the roach through these holes up on top. I can get the stick down there, so try and get see that the roach went to her and she just kind of backed off of it. It's right below her actually. Not quite below her, but just right there it is, right there. I generally don't use the females as often, only because I want them to lay the eggs, because I'm in desperate need of nymphs. I did hatch out probably about 25 of them, and those are going to be used to feed like the Darlingi slings and stuff that's coming in. They're really good for the small scorpions. That's some of the small slings like the C. elegans and stuff like that that I have. Oh, did I not make a tag for her? I don't know if she has a tag on her. I must not have made one for her. Okay, well apparently she's not interested in that whatsoever. So we're going to try, probably unsuccessfully, to feed the Sapusca next. Okay, here she is. She's going to get a male red runner. Like I said, the odds of her eating are probably pretty low. And the odds of the actual roach doing what we want it to do are going to be even probably lower. In fact, the roach is hiding up on the cork bark right now. And it's going to go to the other side. If the roach goes in front of her and she doesn't take it at all, You know, I mean, I really honestly don't think she's going to eat. I'd like for her to surprise me. There's the roach coming through right there. Okay, it keeps going this way. I want it to go the other way. She has put some silk down in the substrate right there. She's never been a big webber. I mean, she has, you know, she does pull her web, and then she will pull substrate up into it. It's like everyone says, the dirt curtains. She is pretty good at doing that. And I wouldn't be surprised if she kind of curtains this area all off right here, because it's exactly what I don't want her to do. And I want her to be comfortable, but I want her to be somewhat visible. So it has a pretty basic setup. I just put some leaves on the bottom there. The cork bark was the one that was in with the Rufilata in the bigger container. I cut it straight down the top to give, you know, this has this lip here so that she can crawl up out of there or live in that area there to be, you know, give her some place to hide and an escape means if she wants. And then I just kind of squeezed it together to get it into position here. So there's, you know, there's a bottom part there for escape, a top part for an escape, and she can get through either side if she wants to. Again, it doesn't look like we're going to get any kind of action out of her. I'm going to leave this video in and the one of the Regalis. I'm going to go ahead and leave them in. And we'll probably try and feed the Rufilata something small and see. I'm looking at that one. She doesn't look shiny. She's doing some webbing right now, but that's the problem. You just never know, you know. Sometimes the pokies catch you off guard when they molt. So yeah, this roach is just wandering. So what I'll do is if she decides to eat, or the Regalis, I guess I don't have to wait to do the update on the Regalis because she did catch her, you know. So I don't have to update her. There she is with her mouth full of food. This is the first time I've actually seen her eat, or at least seen food in her mouth in a long, long time. So yeah, at least we got her to eat. The Metallic ate, and the Miranda. Now if we could just, boy, I would just be tickled pink if she would eat. I don't think the roach is going to be cooperative, so I'm just going to kind of like, the roach is right there. Just let her be, and I'm going to take a look at the Rufilata here and see what that one looks like. I think I can feed it something small, so we'll be right back. So there is the blurry Poecilotheria Rufilata. I got a small juvenile red runner we're going to throw in there. And we'll film for a couple minutes and see if we're interested at all. Okay, we're going to have a crappy view of where, because of where it's at, but see the roach is right below it. It's not really making any attempt or even acknowledging that it's there. And you can see the ventral shots, you can see a little bit of blue underneath. Now the roach is moving around. This one, even my last Rufilata weren't really too scared of the light. It didn't really freak them out as much as some of the other ones do. You know, again, you know, looking at that ventrally, I'm still going to lean towards male, but this bugger hasn't molted in forever. It looks like the same exact size as when I gave it to her months ago, you know, 6 months ago. The book lung placement is pretty close on the top, so I'm not an expert, so we'll see as it grows. Looks like the roach is eating a piece of cricket. Looks like there's little bowls in there that I'm going to have to try and fish out. So we may not get this one to eat. So we're be 0 for 3, even though the Regalis did feed. We didn't actually see it. So, okay, well, this is probably longer than I expected it to be. I know a lot of you are Poecilotheria fans or pokies. And that you can, people pronounce it differently. You know, there's Poecilotheria and there's Poecilotheria. I don't think anybody pronounces it Poecilotheria, but Poecilotheria seems to be the more popular way of saying it, but I actually think that it should be pronounced Poecilotheria. Again, I'm not a Latin expert either, so it'd be kind of hard for me to define that. There's some ventral coloring of the legs. They look bluer on the camera. When I'm looking at them, they don't look quite as blue. There is blue tint to them. You know, they're on the, let's see, where would that be located? That would be the, is that the femurs, the upper part. Then you have the patella. I would think that that is the femur. Yeah, because the patella would be right there. Patella. And then you have, I think, the tarsa and the metatarsa. I think there's one section I'm missing, which would be kind of like the shin, I guess. And then this would be the metatarsa. And then the tarsa is where the claws are. That's why they're called tarsal claws, if anybody wanted to know that. And it's basically the same anatomy as us. You know, you have your femur, you have your shin bones, which the tibia and fibia, right? Or is that the, yeah, that's tibia and fibia for your legs. And then you have the metatarsa, which would be the top of your foot, and then the tarsa, which would be, I think, more towards your toe area, if I'm correct in human anatomy. It's been a long time. I just know metatarsa because where we work, a lot of guys, we have to have steel-toed shoes because of the weight of the wheels that we work with. Well, not me so much because I'm maintenance, but the operators. So a lot of them wear metatarsal, which covers the whole top of their foot. So that's why I know that metatarsal is like the top part. So like, you know, where their foot bends would be the metatarsal part, and the tarsa is the very end of the tarsal claws, or the little hooks that would be located right there. Okay, so again, this video is probably much longer than I wanted it to be. Thanks again for everybody that's watching. I haven't looked at my subscriptions yet. I don't know if I've hit 200 yet, but I am planning a definite 300 subscription giveaway. I'm hoping that that'll happen in the fall when the temperatures are a little bit cooler. We'll go over details of that here in the next month. Probably around Labor Day is when I'll put that video out. I wanted to wish KC Tarantulas, Mike, hope everything went well with your wife. Hope that she's on the fast road to recovery. And hope to see you back soon. And I hope that everything goes well with her. And I think that's about it. Watch some videos. People watch Dark Den, watch Tom Moran, watch Trey Beck, you know, watch Silver Spiders, Mark's Tarantulas. Marilyn Moore just put a new video out I need to watch. Tom Moran put a new video out I need to watch, and so did Silver Spiders. So I have some videos to catch up on. Boxing Boa, watch some of his stuff too. I think he just put a gecko video out I want to see. And Trey Beck just did a giveaway for his reptile junkie bags. So go check that out. And we'll see everybody soon.